knitters. Welcome back to Recreational Knitting. My name is Karen and I'm here to apologize. My last video was a nightmare, both to record and to try to upload. It took me 8 tries to get it before I got it uploaded. And by that time, I think there was a bald patch back here pulling my hair out. Yes. Technology is great when it works, and when it doesn't, yeah. Anyway, apparently the last part of my video was deleted. God knows, because when I went back to my computer, it was all there. Don't know what happened. So, anywho, this is the last part of the cruise. For those of you that want the knitting content, I'll leave a link to the last video and you can go back and see what the knitting content was, but this is the cruise content. I debated about putting the whole thing up again, but I did not know what to do. So anyway, enjoy the rest of the cruise. This is just cruise only, and hopefully it won't take me 8 tries today to get this uploaded. I don't know what to say. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for being patient. Thanks for being understanding of an old lady trying to do technology. I do have the skills of a solidly informed 4-year-old. So, yes, first to admit it. Anyway, I hope you enjoy my little cruise adventure, and I'll see you next time. Hopefully the full video will upload. Knit and peace. So those of you that want to hear about the cruise a little bit can stick around. I get that you might not want to listen to that. Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. As you can tell by the color in my skin, I got a little bit of sun, and the chest is doing a little peeling. Yes, the Caribbean sun is nothing to be joked about. We went to, the first stop that we made was to Curaçao. We spent 2 days at sea. We saw a couple entertainment venues. A comedian, he was okay, and a couple of musical groups. Very nice, very relaxing. It was extremely windy, so much so that they strapped all the chairs up by the pool and the decks, outside decks. They strapped them all down and even removed some of them. It was very windy. It was so windy that a lot of people were not in the pool the second day. And when you go on a Caribbean cruise, you know, that's a big one that you want to spend some time in the pool. And there were probably 2 or 3 people that were actually swimming. The hot tub got some action, but it was almost chilly that second day. The first day it was windy as well, and the boat was rocking. And as I said earlier, we don't know whether it was the size of the boat, the seas, both, or just happenstance. We don't know whether that's the way it always is. On the 3rd day, we docked at Curaçao, and I didn't take a whole lot of pictures this time. I just needed to be away from the podcast a bit, and just needed to be away from the podcast. I'll leave it at that for a bit. And I did take a picture, so I will put pictures in here as I can. And we did not do an excursion. However, we went in and rented a car, which we do like to do. When we went to Aruba 10, 12 years ago, we rented a car for the day and explored that island and really saw all of the island. It was really the way to go. we called it the Rent-A-Wreck because it was this orange car that also had a lot of rust on it. So yeah, it was, we hoped that it would get us back to the rental agency. So yeah, we've done this before. We did it in Turks and Caicos as well, where we rented an actual motor scooter. Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. But this time we rented a rental car, and it was a Kia, and it was in much finer shape than the one we had in Aruba. We wanted to go to a beach that had very large turtles, but the map that we were given had very little information except for the stops that they wanted you to go to. It was printed by a particular company who had a financial interest, apparently, in the stops that were listed. So, yeah, we had a little bit of trouble finding that. In fact, so much we never found it. But we found a beach, and you had to pay. In Curaçao, you have to pay to go to all the beaches, except for, I think there's one that's a free beach, but it's, as you can imagine, just, you know, like too many people. So we went down, and the guy said that'll be, you know, $6 or whatever it was. And Luke said, no, we're looking for XYZ beach. I can't remember what the name of it was, for the turtles. And he said, turn around and go south on this road. So that's what we did, except we got a flat tire from one of the cactus. We're talking cactus that went right into the side of the tire. So in 85-degree weather, my husband changed a tire while I kept passing him water. And bless his heart, we were able to get out of there and get back to the rental agency. We never got to the beach. We were rather afraid of the roads, which were extremely rocky. If you're not aware, Aruba and Curaçao are basically, and I'm sure Bonaire is very similar, they're very desert, you know, their climate is desert. And so as a result, they have a lot of very poorly maintained rock, dusty road. So yeah, Luke went to the rescue and put the donut on. When we heard the hiss of the tire, he looked at me, goes, do you think there's a donut back there? There was. Woohoo! Because we had no self-service where we were. So yeah. So we decided that maybe we should get a Caribbean plan for our cell service when we do this another time. We'll see. Yeah, it just wasn't supposed to be today, this time. It's a beautiful island. There are pockets that are very, very, very poor. And we did see a lot of wealth up on the hills and the mountains, and on the other side of the island, but we never made it to the places that we really wanted to see. So it was kind of a bomb of a day, but we made it back to the car rental office, and we were not charged for the flat tire. So the second stop was the next day, which was Aruba, and we got off, did a little hiking around the shops, had a drink, and said, we've done this, let's go. Even though Aruba has changed in the last 12 years, it's much more built up. But yeah, we're not interested in buying, you know, a t-shirt and, you know, all the things that, you know, people much younger than us are fascinated by. So we had a drink and went back on ship, had lunch, and all was well. We went to the pool, enjoyed the day by the pool. I was knitting on my Dingley Dowel. It was all good. So the next day was a sea day, which was and always is a lovely time. And we went to Grand Cayman, which is more towards Jamaica, Cuba, more less South America. If you know the geography, we've got South America and the ABC islands of Aruba, Bonaire, and Curaçao, and kind of towards the U.S. and Cuba are the Cayman Islands, and we went to Grand Cayman, which was a tender port. And if you're not aware of what that is, it's where you get on a little boat and they take you into the port by little boat. Well, I'm just going to spell it out. The whole tender experience was a cluster. You couldn't get tickets until an hour before we were to get off. The people that had booked excursions should have just been shoved to the front, and so they would not miss their excursion. But it didn't work that way. There was nobody from Celebrity Cruises to tell you what was going on. We were all kind of like, what's going on? What's going on? We got there around 9 o'clock. There were probably about 30 people there already before us, because you had to have these little tender port tickets to get on the little boat. It's really a ferry, without cars, just people ferry, and they ferry you back and forth to the port. What had happened, I guess, was a hurricane many years ago that wiped out the actual port itself, and they have not repaired it for whatever reason. It's certainly not that Grand Cayman does not have the money, because there is a shit ton of money in the Cayman Islands. So, don't know what the deal is, but they have not rebuilt that. So we got into port. We hailed a taxi, which was, he was a wonderful guy, kind of a little tour guide. He was, saying this bank, this is where Bill Gates puts his money, all these things about the Cayman Islands. And he took us up to what's called 7 Mile Beach. I'll put some pictures in here of the beach. And it is one of the most beautiful beaches in the world. It always makes that cut that you see on Condé Nast or, any kind of travel magazine of the most beautiful beaches in the world. So it's always one that makes it. It's not 7 miles. It's only